Hey, what's going on, YouTube family? Tonight's topic's going to be a little bit different. So, in the last previous videos, we've been talking about planting seeds, and we've been talking about the law of gender and also the law of cause and effect, how whatever you're putting forward will eventually return itself back to us, back to you in some form or fashion. So, we're going to continue along these topics, but you're wondering, by clicking on the video, you're like, what's up with that title? So I'm going to go ahead and get right into this, because we're going to talk about what motivates people and where that stems from and how we can create motivation from within instead of finding just solely external motivations, right? So let's jump right into this. Hang out for a little bit. I think you're really going to enjoy this video. All right, so the topic, the $1 million scenario, what is this? All right. So imagine that you are living down in South Florida, say Miami, and you're getting ready to go to bed, and you're in your bed, and all of a sudden you get a call from a very wealthy individual that happens to live in Toronto, Ontario, up in Canada. And he tells you that a long-lost relative of yours recently passed, and little did you know that relative had some royalties that he was giving out to previous family members, and he had written all of this down in stone in his will. And you found out that there was an actual briefcase, and the amount that was in that briefcase that was going to be gifted to you was $1 million in cash. You're getting ready to go to bed, and it's say 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But this briefcase is yours. And he says, you only have a certain amount of time to redeem this. Now, he did write in this will that you only had 48 hours to claim this. Would you go to bed? Now, you guys might find this, this story maybe even comical. But think about that. That's an extrinsic motivation for you to get up out of bed, maybe even take a shower, and as tired as you are, say you had a really long day, you got off work, but this case of $1 million cash is ready for you at your dispense, but you only have 48 hours to redeem it. You don't have time to get a plane ticket, so you got to drive. And if you don't get there by the said time, then that case, it's void, right? You can no longer pick it up. Now think about that. The average person something would arise on the inside of them, and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I got to leave right now. I got to find a way. I got to catch a bus or do something. I have to find a way." And whenever we have motivations outside of ourselves like that, we typically find a way to make it happen. You're going to find a way to make it up there to Toronto. Now, I looked this up before this video. I actually looked up how long it would take via car. Now, bus might take a little bit longer, right? Because they make a lot of stops. It would take you 22 and a half hours, and that's without traffic, to make it up. 22 and a half hours, man. South Florida, Miami, driving all the way up to Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So you are going to do everything you're going to do everything that you can. If you had to hitchhike and find a ride up there, you would do it. Correct? You would not just let that opportunity go to waste. You only have 48 hours to claim this. So you got to get right on this. As tired as you were, and that, say you're exhausted, but that desire triggers energy that now becomes available to us. I forget who said this, but in a lot of Bob Proctor's videos, he states this as well. And somebody else quoted this, and they said, do the thing and you'll get the energy to do the thing. So if you feel like you're very tired and worn out, but think about this $1 million scenario. You know, you only have so long to claim this cash, and the briefcase is ready for you, but you don't know what could come up. You don't know if you could have car troubles along the way. You don't know, but you're going to find a way to get up there. Think about that. But you only got 48 hours. And we talked about planting seeds. Because you're wondering, what's the whole point of this? What's the whole point of this video? We talked about whatever we start giving out consistently on a consistent basis, we get back in return. See, the story, that's extrinsic motivation. But did you know that there's a lot more than $1 million cash in a briefcase waiting for us if we decide upon our own goals and our own amounts of money that we want to earn or come into contact with? You know, believe it or not, whatever goals and whatever amounts that we set as, you know, because we talked about reaping and sowing, and there's a season for sowing and then there's a season for reaping. And we also discussed that 96 to 97% of all of the results that we see in our life, that's governed by the subconscious mind. Well, the subconscious mind is the same way as this extrinsic motivation is to that briefcase, you know, to the $1 million scenario. But see, you can create your own $1 million scenarios in your mind. But how you do this, you have to entertain an idea that's so big, such as, I will attract to me in 6 months $2 million. And a lot of people, nah, man, that can't happen, and they just give up on themselves even before they try. But see, I'm going to tell you a fact about the subconscious mind, and you guys are about to really get it here. Thoughts that have become internalized and thoughts that we become emotionally involved with, those seep down into the subconscious mind. Once they're firmly planted in the subconscious and we've internalized those goals, say you want to make that $2 million and attract $2 million to you within 6 months, and you keep that a goal. If you internalize that and that becomes a subconscious habit and belief, that's going to dictate your results. You're going to see it. You're going to see it. Absolutely. If you decide to do that. But you have to first decide, and then you have to internalize that and get it down into the subconscious. Now, this is the fact I was about to tell you. The subconscious mind cannot differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. What is imagined. And you guys can feel free to look up these facts and figures. Because a lot of the information that I talk to you guys in these videos about, it's all based in science. This isn't theory. And eventually I will actually write out images, and I will get on my computer and edit a video to where I can actually show you guys the picture of the mind, which we talked about. It's divided between the subconscious, the conscious, and then the body. There's 3 parts to the mind, and they all work in harmony and balance with each other. But it's the ideas that we become emotionally involved with that eventually dictate our habitual way of living. They dictate our action and our behavior in everyday life. So if you're really struggling with your goals, and we talked about planting seeds, right, of abundance, happiness, health, wealth. But see, in the creative process, we get to decide on the goals, and we get to decide the amount of money that we want to earn. And regardless of outside extrinsic, right, because we talked about the extrinsic motivations, which that was the $1 million scenario I talked about earlier, that story. This is going inward. This is the intrinsic motivation. There's a lot more than $1 million in a briefcase waiting for us in Toronto. But see, a lot of people don't buy into this stuff, but they don't understand the subconscious mind, that the subconscious mind cannot differentiate between what is imagined and what is actually real. That's so powerful. That's our greatest power, and a lot of people don't realize that whenever we set our own goals and dreams and hopes and whatever it is, and we live by faith based on that understanding, we in turn attract what it is that we think about most. All of the greats have agreed on the same topic throughout history, and that is we become what we think about most. It is the thoughts that we hold dominant in our minds that eventually seep down into that subconscious mind, and again, can't tell what's real versus imagined. So for the subconscious mind, no matter how far-fetched, if you get emotionally involved with that idea, it will become manifest. But the problem is people get stuck on the barriers because they'll see those quote-unquote barriers getting brought up as they go after these goals. Because within 2 months' time, if you haven't attracted that $2 million, or you haven't attracted the amount that you've said that you've sought out, people give up. People give up and they quit on the idea. But see, if they would just keep going and keep hammering out that idea and we talk about repetition. It's all repetition. You have to continually reaffirm what it is that you want. And through faith based on understanding, through the repetition of the information and through repetition of that foreign idea that we've entertained and that we become what we think about most, we continually review that every single day. That's how you take control of your life. And it's not just with money. It could be with a relationship. It could be in your happiness, health, wealth, finances, career, or relationships. So that's the scenario that I wanted to tell you guys, is there's a lot more than just $1 million in a briefcase waiting for us. That we have deep reservoirs of talents and abilities and ideas that we've yet to entertain. And a lot of people don't believe in the information, and that's why it doesn't work. Believe, and the belief will create the fact. If you believe, the belief will create the fact. It's in believing. You must first believe, because a lot of people want to see it outside of themselves first. Where's the money? Where's the briefcase? And the reality is that no, you can't see it before you believe it. You have to believe it, and then we'll see it. And people really get tripped up on that because they want everything outside of themselves to line up before they believe it's true or it's possible. You have to believe it up here first. You have to entertain those Y-type ideas as opposed to the X-type ideas that we're very comfortable with. The things that we know that we can do and think that we can do, those are X-type ideas. We entertain the Y-type ideas, the things that seem too far out there, way too far for us to achieve, way too far for us to attract and become in harmonious vibration and balance with. Those are the actual ideas. That's where the true magic happens, is whenever we entertain those ideas for so long that they become manifest. But you can't give up on it because you don't see it outside of yourselves. A lot of people give up on it before they see it. We can all create a beautiful life for ourselves, but it takes proper discipline. It takes discipline in our thought life. The subconscious mind cannot differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. That's very powerful. That's extremely powerful.